Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video. We're going to talk about the utter state of AAA gaming and, why AAA gaming is imploding. And there are a lot of reasons for it, right? But front and center with a lot of folks is DEI and how gaming has been commandeered by ideologues who want to, change the face of gaming. These are kind of their words, not mine, but it's very clear that they're making big changes to the video game industry that's turning off a lot of gamers, literally, in some cases, turning off a lot of gamers, and it's not going well. They were burning hundreds of millions of dollars on AAA titles that nobody's playing, nobody's buying. People are going back to old games. They're protesting. They're closing their wallets. Wallet closed, sir. They are. Look at Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. This is one of the games that kicked off or helped kick off, I think, Gamergate 2.0. Now with more gate, I don't know, but it's shocking how fast the video game industry has just committed self-deletion. In fact, there's an entire article on it on Wikipedia, which has gotten involved in this too. And we're going to talk about that, the Assassin's Creed drama and with the changes there. But Wikipedia actually has a whole article on the 2023 to 2024 video game industry layoff crisis. I think it's course correction. I think that a lot of the corporate owners of these studios are like, yeah, we're losing all kinds of money. Stop the bleeding, right? Just freaking stop it. Put a tourniquet on it, and we tried it your way, Sweet Baby Inc. And we're not going to do it this way anymore. But like so many independent video game websites got gobbled up by IGN. IGN, I did a video yesterday. They shut down their own game publisher, Humble Games. They shut that down, and that was one that did diverse indie games, but actually a lot of their games were very good. I thought their games were very good, but it's affecting everybody. Like everything is imploding because again, we let ideologues in. They decided that gamers were awful. They worked with their friends and colluded with their friends in the media and went on this bender about how awful gamers are. Then they started putting out product that was subpar, not what people wanted. And then you were an awful person if you didn't like it. We saw the same thing happen in comic books. We saw the same thing happen in tabletop games. It just happened on a much smaller scale. Comic books are nothing compared to the video game industry. Now it's here, and the same thing is going to happen. That happened to comics. The comic book industry, the Western direct market, has been shrunk to almost nothing. Right? Legacy franchises, Star Wars, Marvel. I mean, the list goes on and on. They've been decimated. Deadpool and Wolverine, I guarantee, is going to be a one-off. I don't think we're ever going to get anything like that from Disney again. And, even throughout all this, every once in a while, we'll get like a Helldivers or something, but then they'll do something to shoot themselves in the foot. They're basically just self-destructive. They're trying to delete themselves, delete the industry. And it doesn't mean anything to them because a lot of the people that are responsible for this, they didn't make any of this stuff, right? They came into the industry and they decided to act like a school marm, act like a Karen and tell everybody what was wrong, what was problematic, what gamers like them want, not realizing, or well, they probably do totally realize that, a lot of times they make up statistically a very small portion of gamers. So we're going to cover a couple of different things in this video. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Go out to Clownfish Gaming. I'm going to be doing more regular gaming news videos over there. Subscribe to Clownfish TV Audio Edition. We have a podcast, and also D-Res. That is our other podcast. That's more interviews and gaming news and stuff like that. You can subscribe to that wherever you find podcasts. This is coming from Cosmic Book News. Yes, Mrs. Freeze is real. And she's going to, I believe, become the new face of failure for AAA gaming. Suicide Squad game reveals Mrs. Freeze and her, they, theirs wife, Sweet Baby Inc. comes through again with an Elseworlds take on the original Batman villain because everybody wanted to see lesbian Mrs. Freeze. Shouldn't she be running North Korea? Isn't she busy? Yes, Mrs. Freeze and her wife. People said this was a fake. I remember people said this is too ridiculous to be true. No, it's true. It's not Mr. Freeze. It's Mrs. Freeze. And it's not Nora Freeze, maybe saving Victor Freeze. No. It's Victoria Freeze and her wife. Victoria Freeze. Frias. Is she Hispanic? I don't know. Frias is an ice-cold, self-sufficient survivalist who has watched her Elseworld turn to ice as Brainiac's invasion took hold. By the time we meet her in season 2, she spent years as the last holdout of her dying planet, unwilling to leave her cryogenically frozen wife behind. But after being recruited by the squad, she may have the chance to save her and unleash icy hell. Mrs. Freeze is bringing some much-needed expertise to the squad in the form of her freeze tech. She's an ice-cold bitch. The primary way she utilizes her inventions is through her traversal, which incorporates a combination of ice-cool control and super smooth sliding. She snowboards. Just say it. I'm sure this is going to help their numbers tremendously. This is going to help their numbers tremendously. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has a shockingly low number of concurrent players for a game that costs like $200 million. It's so bad that Warner Brothers had to say part of the reason that they lost so much money last year was because of this game. And they're not done yet. We got to just, piss on the grave while we're at it. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more layoffs. Now let's talk about Ubisoft and their statement that apparently there was some drama. I missed this. Apparently their apologies, for those of you who haven't been following, Ubisoft put out a quasi apology for Assassin's Creed Shadows offending Japanese audiences by massively distorting history and relying heavily on the, I believe, fan fiction of a white dude, Thomas Lockley, who is trying to convince everybody in academia and in Hollywood that there was this renowned samurai named Yasuke. And all of a sudden he popped up in anime and he's getting a Broadway show and he's getting a AAA video game. And all of this has only been the last couple of years since Lockley's book came out. And Lockley keeps citing himself as a source for this. Trust me, bro. And the Japanese aren't happy. And it's a number of things. Apparently Ubisoft stole a flag from a historical reenactment group, and they confused Chinese architecture with Japanese architecture. And they said there's just not a lot of respect shown for the Japanese in this game. And they're angry. They're angry about it. In fact, the government or government officials are getting involved. That's how bad things have gotten over there. And they issued this apology. And it was a kind of a non-apology. And apparently it was getting community noted. But I think there are some people working for Ubisoft or some people, gaming journals or whatever, working against the people trying to note it to say that it was inaccurate. So that was kind of like, man, that's crazy. But it's true. I mean, they're saying, hey, we never said that we were trying to be historically accurate. We never said it. Well, IGN repeated that lie. Ubisoft tried to say that they were doubling down on historical accuracy. And now they're trying to say that, yeah, they said, this has come from Grums, who's actually been on D-Res a couple times. You can check that podcast out. I'm trying to pimp that podcast, right? He said, following Ubisoft's apology, lying IGN, suddenly says there's no proof Yasuke was a samurai after saying he was, and that anyone saying otherwise is part of a hate group. IGN's now part of a hate group, according to their own article, and they said, yeah, due to limited historical evidence, there is no conclusive proof as to Yasuke being a samurai, a retainer, or any other role entirely. And for a couple of months, you were not allowed to question Yasuke. He was the most renowned samurai, and they must have tried to bury his achievements because he was black. Is that it? No, actually they're they think this guy existed. There seems to be proof that he existed, but what he did, what his title was, massively up for debate. And most of the story about him being a renowned samurai came from Thomas Lockley, a white guy who even admitted he made up a lot of the details. He filled in the blanks. Again, not a native Japanese person, somebody who's working in Japan, but is actually from the UK, decided he was going to fill in the blanks and create this. I believe Yasuke is his OC. I think it's his. And all of a sudden, he starts linking to himself in Wikipedia. They busted him. They get an anime on Netflix, of course. Netflix would, would do that. Whatever. They did Cleopatra too, right? And then we have this Broadway play coming out in this AAA game. So this guy's, I think this whole thing is just him trying to perpetuate this fictionalized, heavily fictionalized version of Yasuke to make himself feel better, to make himself feel progressive, right? So apparently, they try to community note it, but it's just like, it's not going to sell well. I don't think it's going to sell well. I don't think it's going to sell well in Japan for sure. Now, they actually love Ghosts of Tsushima, and that was developed in the West, but they actually had healthy respect for Japanese culture. But it's just like they keep stepping on this rake again and again and again. And we're going to see a lot more layoffs. I mean, it's inevitable at this point. It's like this, because it takes so long to develop and release these games and then get the earnings in and all that, it's got a really long tail. It's going to take months, maybe a year to see the utter failure of some of these games. Now, they're promoting the hell out of Assassin's Creed, and as some people are pointing out, the new Star Wars game comes out like next month, and that's the one with the really manly looking woman in it that nobody's talking about, but this game is going to be between $70 and $120 or something. It's like, people were going to buy that in droves. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. It's not going to get better for them. It's not. The video game industry chose death. Simple as that. They chose death willingly. They listened to people they shouldn't have listened to, just like comic books, just like animation, and they led them down the quote unquote woke path. And there was no money at the end of that rainbow. There are all kinds of colors, all kinds of shapes on that rainbow, but there was no money at the end of the rainbow. Right. And now we're seeing the result of this. And again, this kind of goes along with the video I did on Hollywood, that the end result is a lot of people who just want to make a living working in these industries will not be allowed to, because the people in charge took some really bad advice from these DEI organizations, these sensitivity readers, these consultants. And here we are. Actual gamers don't want it. A very, very expensive lesson. Lots of studios closing, lots of people out of work. And you could have just asked gamers what they wanted, but you weren't allowed to. You weren't allowed to actually ask gamers what they wanted, because gamers are hateful Nazis and bigots, right? Right? They're all a bunch of bigots, according to the media. Yeah, you listen to them too. And that was another huge mistake. So you chose death. The video game industry chose death. And again, this was completely avoidable if you had the balls to stand up to the journalists that were lying to you, and you had the balls to stand up to the DEI consultants that were lying to you, and you had the balls to just ask gamers what they wanted. What are you willing to pay for? Not this. They don't want to pay for this. So you make something else. That's all you got to do. It's really not hard. Everybody wants hamburgers, but you want to sell tacos? You're not getting good luck with that. You're not going to do well. If there's no market for tacos, and this isn't a racist thing, because we all know Taco Bell's not like authentic Mexican anyway. I'm just saying, if there's no market for what you're trying to sell, and people are telling you, actively telling you what they want, why would you go in the opposite direction? It's just, from a business perspective, it's fucking stupid. And you're fucking stupid for listening to people who led you down this path. And the executives who made these decisions, they deserve to lose their fucking jobs. Absolutely, positively, they deserve to lose their jobs. Unfortunately, like I said, a lot of people who had no dog in it, really, they were just working for the company, they're also going to lose their jobs. It's over, guys. And a lot of people are trying to unionize now in the video game industry. And it's too late. I think it's too late. I think they're trying to unionize to get some kind of a package for the inevitability. Can't talk today. The inevitability of them losing their jobs because of poor decisions being made. And good luck with that, I guess. Secure the bag, as the kids like to say. But it's mostly over. It's definitely not looking too good. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.